Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that affects pretty much everything you do online in Singapore. I'm talking about the Personal Data Protection Act, or as you probably know it, the PDPA. Let's break down what it really means for you and your data.
So let me ask you something. Do you have any idea who's looking at your personal data? Like, right now? Seriously, think about it. Every time you order lunch, sign up for a new app, or just scroll through your feed, you're leaving behind this trail of digital breadcrumbs. But where does that trail lead? Who's picking it up? And what are they doing with it? That's exactly the problem the PDPA is trying to solve.
You can think of it as the official rulebook for digital privacy here in Singapore. See, it's all about finding a balance. On one hand, you've got your right to keep your information private, but on the other, organizations kind of need to use data for, legitimate reasons. The PDPA is the framework that tries to keep those two things in check.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the absolute basics. What even is personal data? Then we'll dive into the rules companies have to follow. After that, we'll get to the good stuff, your rights. We'll also tackle some real-world headaches like data breaches and those annoying spam calls. And finally, we'll meet the watchdog that's supposed to be enforcing all of this.
Okay, so let's jump right in. First things first, to really get this law, we've got to be clear on what it's protecting. So what exactly are we talking about when we say personal data?
Well, the official definition is actually really broad. It's not just the super obvious stuff like your name or your NRC number. We're talking about your phone number, your home address, pictures of you, even the IP address from your computer. Basically, if a bit of information can be used to point a finger directly at you, either by itself or when it's put together with other info, then yep, it's considered personal data and it's protected by this law. Okay, so now we know what kind of data is covered. Let's flip the script and look at the other side of the coin. What rules do businesses and organizations actually have to play by when they handle your info?
It really boils down to three big rules. Number one, they've got to get your consent. They can't just take your data without asking. Number two, they have to tell you why they want it, and they can only use it for that specific reason. And number three, and this is a big one, they have to protect it. They are legally responsible for keeping your data safe and secure.
But consent isn't always about ticking a little box on a form. There's what's called given consent. That's when you actively say, yes, I agree. But there's also something called deemed consent. And this one is more about common sense. For example, when you give an online store your address, well, it's kind of obvious you're agreeing for them to use that address to deliver your package, right? You don't have to sign a separate form for that. It's just understood. All right, enough about what companies have to do. Let's talk about what's really important here. You. This whole law isn't just a rule book for businesses, it's designed to give you power. So, what are your actual rights?
This is where you really get to take the driver's seat. First, you have the right to go to a company and ask, hey, what information do you have on me? That's your right to access. Second, if you look at that data and find something that's wrong, you can tell them to fix it. That's your right to correct. And maybe most importantly, you have the right to say, you know what, I've changed my mind, and take back your consent anytime.
And let me tell you, that right to withdraw your consent, it is huge. The law is super clear on this. You can pull the plug at any time for any reason. And once you do, that organization has to stop using or sharing your data. Full stop. It's a really powerful tool to have in your back pocket.
Okay, so all this theory is great, but let's get practical. How does the PDPA actually work in situations that we all worry about, like a major data breach or just trying to stop those endless marketing calls?
So, let's say a company gets hacked and your data gets out. They can't just sweep it under the rug. The law puts them on a very tight clock. First, they have to assess how bad the breach is. If it's serious, they have only 3 days to report it to the data protection authorities. And after that, they have to tell you, the people who are actually affected by it.
And what about those unwanted telemarketers? Well, this is where the Do Not Call Registry, or DNC, comes in. It's brilliant. You can register your phone number, it's totally free, and from that point on, it is illegal for companies to hit you up with unsolicited marketing calls, texts, or faxes. It's a super simple way to get some peace and quiet back.
So we've got all these rules, but rules are pretty useless without a referee, right? So who's the one blowing the whistle when a company commits a foul and breaks the rules? That job belongs to the Personal Data Protection Commission, also known as the PDPC. You can think of them as the official guardians of data privacy in Singapore. They're the ones who investigate complaints, look into data breaches, and generally make sure everyone is playing by the book.
And trust me, you do not want to get on their bad side.
The penalties for messing up are no joke. For a really serious breach, the PDPC can fine a company up to 10% of its annual turnover in Singapore. For a big corporation, that is a massive amount of money. It's a pretty powerful incentive to get this right.
But it's not all about the money. The PDPC has a few different tools it can use. They can issue directions, which is basically them ordering a company to fix a problem or stop doing something. Then, of course, there are those big financial penalties. But, and this is really important for you, the law also gives you the right to take private action. That means if a company's failure to protect your data has actually caused you some kind of loss or damage, you can sue them yourself.
So there you have it. That's Singapore's PDPA in a nutshell. We've looked at what data is protected, the rules for companies, the rights that you hold, and the penalties for breaking them. The framework is strong, but it leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. In a world where data is everything, are these rules really enough to keep us truly safe?